2023 and 2024 in terms of IPOs and in terms of exit options becoming much more of a reality. And many of the companies that you backed, I mean, when is your IPO coming, by the way? But, many of the companies that you backed have IPO'd, Kunal.
Yeah, so, I mean, not only backed, but built.
Yeah.
Right? So Unicommerce, which is also part of our group, oftentimes, Snapdeal hogs all the headlines, clearly, right? Our Unicommerce, which is obviously a B2B software business, and actually the first SaaS company to list in India.
Yes.
We had acquired this business in 2015, primarily to run the software for Snapdeal's warehouses. And before we knew, over the next few years, we realized that many other brands and platforms wanted the same software. So we started selling it. To fast forward 7-8 years, now it's a listed company. Right? So I feel that there's such a big learning in that, right? Like there's learning around resilience and never saying that. I can tell you nobody would ever put their money on the thought even won't occur to them maybe 3 years ago or 2 years ago that Unicommerce would get listed, right? And have a very successful listing. At the time when it listed in August 2024, it was, I think, the second most subscribed IPO of 2024. For a relatively modest sized company, I remember, I think we received like 21 lakh applications in our IPO. That testament to the quality of the business, obviously to the markets, but also quality of the business. So, it is also, our strong view, Shereen, that in the end, if you build a profitable business that maybe is not growing at 100%, 300% a year, but it's compounding year on year, eventually you will be able to access the public markets. Because venture capitalists oftentimes will push companies. We have seen that also. We have experienced that also. They'll push companies to grow very fast.
At the cost of everything else.
Right. Our view is very different now, and we've learned from our own experience, right? Where in the same group, right, our Ace Vector, our holding company, we have one business, Snapdeal, which was built a certain way, and then eventually we course corrected and now are building it the way we want to build it. And Unicommerce, which was always built this way, which is, we have raised zero primary capital to build Unicommerce. Zero. We never raised a single rupee of primary capital. So it is doable.
I think I hate to use the word propaganda, but there's this mental imagery that has been built in the minds of many young entrepreneurs that unless you're growing really fast, you're not good enough. And many
unless you're a unicorn, you're not good enough.
Unicorn, growing very fast, etc., etc.
The concept of unicorns, right? It's a concept, we just don't like at all. And we are very vocal about it because we just don't understand why we have to chase a mythical animal which represents, maybe not even an animal, mythical creature that that points to a currency that is not ours.
But did you not like it when you were one?
Because we didn't know better, right? We didn't know better, and we have to be honest about it. And now we know better, so it's important that we talk about it. Mythical animal representing a currency that is not ours and a number that has no relevance to our country. Like, we realize that it's very hard just telling people this is not the chase we need to be in. We need to build lasting, enduring businesses. And that's when we came up with this term called Indicorns, right? Because we feel names stick, right? At some level, Unicorn has stuck for some reason. But if we need to change the mindset, we need something to take its place. Right? So Indicorn is basically a 100 crore revenue business, which is profitable, started in the last 15 years. Now, at least our view is that India does not need like 100, 200, 300 unicorns. We need 10,000 Indicorns because they will form a more lasting, enduring and stable bedrock for the ecosystem. Once you're at that point, you're profit making and at 100 crores of revenue, chances of mortality have dropped dramatically for that business. So we'll have less blow-ups, we'll have less significant corrections that companies have to do because they've run out of money.
And most importantly, entrepreneurs and teams have full control of their business getting to that point. Look, the valuation being a certain number assumes that beauty needs to lie in the eyes of some
Somebody else,
Someone else is coming and telling you you are a unicorn. But, whether the underlying business is good, not good, profit generating, growing, not growing, that's all one person's assessment basis which you are carrying or not carrying a certain badge.
Yeah.
Whereas being an Indicorn is completely up to you.
Yeah.
It's your business, your revenue, your profit. No one else needs to come and tell you, yes, you are valuable.
Yeah.
You need to know yourself whether you're valuable or not.
Yeah, absolutely. But, so that's now the investment thesis that's going to drive where you allocate your money as far as Titan is concerned?
I think we've always been allocating capital that way.
We have
Just
a
that
name
now
for it.
we've, because I think that happens many times. I've noticed that you have a certain behavior pattern of doing things a certain way. And then one fine day when you name it, it becomes a lot more obvious to you what you were doing. I think it's the name which has come up now, whereas we've always been investing that way because like from day one, when we meet companies which are very small, like 5 lakhs of revenue, we ask them about product market economic fit. We don't ask only about product market fit because if the economics don't work, you can't really tell whether there's product market fit or not.
Yeah.
And from day one, like really small companies, we've always, I remember, asked founders, does the business have product market economic fit or
what were the questions? Let's start with the questions that you asked. What were the questions you asked Bhavish? Who wants to take this one on?
Well, it's very interesting circumstances in which we met Bhavish. I was at a conference, hawking our coupons, I guess, in 2011. Like we were always hawking something at that point. And as I was stepping out, ironically, I was looking for my cab, right? And this, young, sharp-looking guy walks up with his bag and says, "Hey, Kunal, I just want to chat with you for 5 minutes." I was like, "Okay, I'm waiting for my cab." So we sat down on a sofa at the entrance of the hotel, and he just showed me that they're launching this intercity service, and they're doing like 5 rides a day. But I think at that point in time, we were also new to investing. It was our first investment that we made in December of 2011. But it was very clear he was very special kind of founder, a great, brilliant mind. And I think he then did one call with Rohit and we were done, right? Like it was very straightforward. He wanted to partner with us. We wanted to partner with him. There was not much discussion. But over a period of time, as the ecosystem has become deeper, revenues become more real very early on, which was not the case 12, 13 years ago. Now we have enough data in the beginning, even for very early stage companies, let's say a Mamaearth, right? When we invested in Mamaearth, they were doing maybe 5 or 7 lakhs of revenue. Also an interesting story how we found them.
Right? Because of your daughter.
We found everything.
It's my job.
Right? So, I saw the shampoo in my daughter's shower. I turned the bottle and there was a mobile number and it was Varun's number, right? Yeah. So, but it was very clear when we met them also, even at 7 lakhs of revenue a month, it was very clear what the shape of the P&L is and likely will be. And I can tell you for like the subsequently the next 6-7 years, I don't think the shape of the P&L changed much. The number may have moved from 5 lakhs to, God knows, like 250 crores. But I don't think the shape of the P&L changed. And we have generally seen that companies that have stability in gross margin, stability in unit economics, tend to outperform those in the long run by orders of magnitude than those that don't. The other thing we have learned is that companies that have great reporting governance outperform those that don't have it. Doesn't mean it's a sufficient condition to succeed, but it's definitely a necessary condition.
Absolutely necessary. We've seen from month one, all the companies that have done exceptionally well, each one of them had extremely high quality reporting from day one of the business. Because, as founders, all of us can sometimes start feeling, I'm too busy to create this report, etc. But just there is nothing, it's the perfect mirror as an entrepreneur as well, because you want to see every month what progress have you made. Funnily enough, while it's something, at least to us, extremely simple, that we even have a format now of how it needs to look like.
We call it the Titan MIS.
Titan MIS, okay.
Each of our portfolio companies has
the biggest, like most of our founders, like most of the companies we invest in, we try to get them to institutionalize from day one. It's so simple, But founders over and over again tell us that was the single most helpful thing that you guys did from day one.
Well, the thing that's also different now for you at Titan is the fact that it's not just your money. I mean, you've gone out there and you've done some fundraising yourself. What's that experience been like?
We mostly always wanted to just invest our own capital. But what started happening 2-3 years ago is a lot of founders started approaching us saying that, look, you are our first believers. You are, we love hearing it, but they tell us this also that you're our best investors. Right? So, because I think we bring that operator mindset and we bring a mindset of, understanding the practical issues of building a business. They would tell us that, look, we'll go out, we'll get a lead investor. Can you do the remaining round? Right? In the subsequent rounds that they raise after we've invested at the seed stage. We said, look, that will require a lot more capital to invest. But let's think about it. Concurrently, a lot of people were reaching out to us, like our peers, family offices, etc., that we want to invest alongside you because you guys obviously have a good deal flow and a good selection criteria. So that was a good culmination of setting up this, what we think of as a capital amplification vehicle, that we were anyways going to invest in subsequent rounds of these companies with our own money. Now other people can invest alongside us, right? Like-minded investors, etc.
Right.
And that's how the Titan Capital Winners Fund was created. Everyone told us, guys, first time fund, it's going to take you 3 years to raise, right? But we were just amazed by the response we got. I think we were going to raise 200 crores.
You've done 300.
Yeah, 333.
Right? 333.
It's a coincidence. It was a total coincidence.
But speaking about rounding off numbers.
So it was a coincidence, and I think it's testament to, because this first time other people have seen our results, right? Of the investing we've done for 13 years. And obviously they liked what they saw.
So what is the report card? The 280 company report card for Titan Capital look like?
Because we were investing our own capital, but we were very sort of always extremely diligent about reporting, tracking, not only giving the sermon to other entrepreneurs, but sort of applying that sermon on ourselves as well. But, the fund, all the investments, as Kunal mentioned, have done quite well, and we are very fortunate.
You've had tremendous amount of success with at least some of the listed entities in the portfolio.
At least the investment world uses IRR as one of the metrics, which we've had like early 60%, like somewhere in the 60s, early 60s, which is we consider to be fairly healthy from what we've been told. So
realized IRR. So I think one of the things where we were disciplined about was not getting too greedy either way, which is either selling too early or not selling at all. I think that is one of the issues that early stage investors often have. And 100% of post-tax proceeds, last 13 years, we've reinvested back in the next cohort of companies. See, what motivates the two of us is like the ability to keep supporting entrepreneurs and, the next generation of entrepreneurs in the country, right? Like almost everything we do is to that effect, right? Whether it is creating companies which create jobs for people, many of whom go and start companies of their own, in which we also invest in. Right? So it's a full cycle. And like about a few months ago, someone asked me that, oh, you turned 40, like what do you want to do at 60? Right? Actually, I didn't have an answer immediately. And so I said, let me think about it. So I thought about it for a week or two. Then I got back. I told her, actually want to just keep doing this. Right? Like I can't
exactly
see.
The same exactly
I can't imagine what else would I want to do. I just want to keep building companies, keep investing in companies, keep supporting founders. It's an enduring purpose, right?
And I think over the last many years, we've seen both the quality and maturity of entrepreneurs, as well as the respect for entrepreneurship has grown tremendously in the country. I remember when we were starting, most people, told us कि इनकी job नहीं लगी होगी. That's why they're starting on their own.
For someone who grew up in Bhatinda before they made it to DPS RK Puram and then to IIT Delhi.
Kunal was right to remember everything.
No, but speaking of IIT Delhi, you were a very special batch. I mean, who all were part of the IIT Delhi cohort while you were there? Sachin and Binny?
Quite a few. Actually, it's such a big coincidence that in those couple of years, there's a lot of companies that came from Dipinder, Sachin, Albinder, many actually. I can't remember all the names.
Did you guys hang out together in college?
I mean, in some ways, but I mean, I don't think either of us were thinking that eventually
we will go on to building India's unicorns.
I feel it's such a big coincidence.
But what is it about the IITs in general, but also about IIT Delhi in specific, that's really been the incubation ground for so many startup stories?
I have a very personal story about this, not with respect to IIT, but with respect to DPS. Is that, as you rightly mentioned, I grew up in actually a town which is 50 kilometers from Bathinda, which, like before Google Maps, no one could find out where it is.
I know Bathinda. The Air Force has a very large base there.
So, when you grow up in such a small town, you can grow up with one of two mindsets. You can either, because look, I used to do okay in studies and used to do well in studies. And you can grow up with one of two mindsets. Either you can start thinking that, okay, because I'm good here, I'm superhuman and I'll be able to do everything, etc., etc. Or you can grow up with the mindset that I grew up with, where I used to think that, okay, I'm okay till the time I'm in this village. But the moment I go into the big club, which is like Delhi and national level, etc., nothing will work out. I used to have very low confidence in my own abilities. Used to think that, all the people who go to IITs or some of these good colleges must be some superhuman people. And I landed up in DPS somehow. No one in our town had ever been to an IIT. I landed up in DPS. That's where me and Kunal met. I had extremely low confidence that I'll be able to do anything, even though I got very decent marks in class 10th. And I think for me, the big change happened when I saw some of the people, because I came in grade 11th, and many of the seniors who were in grade 12th, many of them are people, like growing up in a small town, we used to think that people who go to good colleges are some superhuman alien beings with wings, etc., etc. But when we saw all these people, these were people like us, who looked like us, talked like us, behaved like us. And the next year, many of them went to good colleges. And I think that's what made, at least demystified the whole thing for me personally. That look, if these guys can do it, then hopefully I can too. And I think that just humanization becomes very important. You don't put things on a pedestal. I feel the same thing has happened with entrepreneurship as well.
I want to end by asking the two of you and, picking up on where Rohit left off. Success at 27, what did that mean to you then? And success at 40, what does it mean to you today?
Well, Rohit can go first.
He's going to think and come up with a podcast answer.
I think maybe, I think going back in time, it's, I think at 27, maybe success was just being known for anything, right? Because, as I mentioned, both of us, I grew up in a small town and, there was no reason for us to be known. I think at that point of time, at least speaking for myself, I used to probably attach a lot more importance to being known and getting that external validation. It's changed quite materially to what it is today. Today, for me, there is only one parameter of success, which is, am I happy? That's the only thing that matters.
And what makes you happy?
Many things. I think as Kunal mentioned, I myself, I really, I've been to Japan many times. And one of the things that I observed there, which I really, really connect with, is people there is no word for retirement in Japanese. There's just no word. And it's, at least I can so connect with that, because if you are...
I can too.
If you're happy with what you're doing, if you enjoy what you're doing, I actually just can't relate to. There's so many people when I talk to them, they say, I want to work really hard and I want to retire at a certain age. Now, it may work for them, but just I can't relate to that at all. I just feel like if I can continue doing what I'm doing.
And 70 hours a week.
It doesn't feel like work. That's the more important thing, because it gives me so much joy that I think this is happiness to me, and then everything else that comes along with it is sort of bonus.
Yes. Over to you.
I think, look, success, I feel what success means to you at that point in time, it keeps changing. I feel that it probably meant very different things 2 years ago. And it'll mean very different things today and 2 years later. But this F1, the McLaren Mercedes
yes.
F1 boss, Toto Wolff, he has this really interesting saying, which is about like happiness, right? Like, he said, what makes you happy, right? And he said that, I just want something to do, someone to love, and something to dream about, right? And actually, that's what it boils down to. Thankfully, I have all the three, right? And I think, and I feel that I'm so blessed, right? Like to have all three very much in place. The first two are known, but the third one, there's this enduring purpose of pursuing and promoting entrepreneurship in India. I feel it's a very enduring purpose. Like I think we can do it till our last breath, literally, right? So I think we are so blessed to be at this age with this experience in a country like India at this point in time, right? Because this time is not coming back, right? This is probably the first time this is happening in India, and maybe the last time it'll happen in India, right? This significant inflection point. And to be in our prime, to have learnt our lessons, to have a lot of wisdom, to have resources, to have a good reputation. At this point in time, I mean, we really couldn't have asked for anything else.
And which is why you're all set to play shark now. What is that about?
I feel you must try everything in life once, right? I feel you should lead an absolutely regretless life, right? I feel that it is interesting. And actually, if you think about it, it is in sync with this enduring purpose of promoting entrepreneurship. Yes, it is, entertainment and drama and all that, but it draws people in. And as a result, hopefully inspires enough to pursue entrepreneurship.
Well, I hope that the two of you continue to have the courage and the conviction to not just fund your own dreams, but to fund many, many other dreams. And, thank you so much for very honestly and candidly sharing your own experiences and stories. As I said, we've tracked their journey for over a decade now, and I have to say that it's great to have you back on the program, and I wish you all the very best for all your future endeavors. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Shereen. Thanks. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Shereen. Always a pleasure.
My pleasure entirely. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Young Turks Reloaded. From all of us here on the team for now, goodbye. Thanks for watching. More lessons in entrepreneurship coming up shortly.